Hello, everybody. That was a weak little clap there. Here's a better one. Welcome to another episode of the Uncanny Spirits Club. And I've got something interesting that I did not expect to see. I'm not sure why it exists. I mean, I guess I know why. It's because of money. But you'll find out in a minute. So, Crown Royal is a Canadian whiskey, right? They sell it here in the United States, perfectly fine, but it's a Canadian whiskey. It's made in Canada, imported, relatively inexpensive for the most part. And I was in the grocery store today, and I just happened to turn around. I'd already picked something. I was already set on what I was going to get. I didn't have anything new. It wasn't going to be a review. I picked up some Angels, or not Angel Envy. Oh, good news about that too in a minute. Some Elijah Craig rye, which I really enjoy, and I hadn't had it for a while. So I'm standing there in line with that, and I noticed that the Angels Envy has gone down by $20. The Angels Envy finished rye. It was $95, and now it's like $75, which is still an awful lot. But it's my favorite rye whiskey that's ever been made, and I'm hoping it drops just a little bit more, just a bit more to be a bit more affordable. But while I'm standing there, I noticed that I've got this Elijah Craig in my hand. I turn, and on the shelf of like specials and things that are just like, hey, this is new, just came out of the truck, or there's not very much of this, or whatever. I saw this. Limited edition, it says up at the top. Crown Royal. Cleveland Browns, which is interesting. I mean, Ohio is right across the lake from Canada, so maybe that kind of makes sense. But hand-selected barrel, 103 proof. And it's got like football graphics on the side, and it feels kind of like a football on the bottle here, so it's a nice presentation. And it says on the back, proud partner of the Cleveland Browns, which is really interesting. It's a Canadian whiskey partnered with an American sports team, or United States sports team, I should say. I don't know. It just strikes me as kind of strange, But it's got a little story on the back, and it says, for the first time, Crown Royal offers you the opportunity to savor the raw magic of its unique coffee rye whiskey. Not coffee as in a cup of coffee, but coffee as in a certain grain of barrel. It's a type of whiskey still, named after the man who invented it, Mr. Coffee of some kind. It does not list his name here, but it's unique coffee rye whiskey straight from the barrel. The whiskey is proudly named following a long-standing Canadian tradition of referring to local whiskeys as simply rye. Of the 50 finest whiskeys that go into the award-winning Crown Royal Deluxe blend, the coffee rye is unmistakably the heart of it. Flavorful, creamy notes combined with rich oak undertones from maturing on new American oak barrels give the whiskey its exceptional smoothness. So that's interesting. Why they're a partner of the Cleveland Browns, I don't know. As you know, I live in Ohio, and Cleveland is just about 45 minutes to an hour north of me, depending on the traffic. And I call myself a Browns fan as far as I can be a fan of any NFL team, because I'm not really big into sports. But I don't expect much from them. I don't expect a whole lot from Cleveland sports teams anymore, unfortunately. And I'm not going to make a big thing about, I'm not going to say, man, they just suck or something like that, because I don't think that it's a more complex issue than that, I think. But I'm not as invested enough in it to really be that bothered. I mean, Cleveland doesn't win very often. They win a few games every year. Sometimes, very rarely, they get to the playoffs. And then they fumble it, and that's it. And maybe someday they'll do something dramatic. But it's just interesting to me that they would partner with a Canadian whiskey. But again, in retrospect, possibly it does make sense considering that Cleveland is right across the lake from Canada. So not only do you have the nice box, you also have the obligatory Crown Royal bag. It's got the Cleveland logo on it, of course. And it's not their usual. It's almost like a fake burlap bag. Not quite as rough, but definitely not as smooth as their usual like velvet velour kind of bags, which is interesting, with like a leather thong kind of, not underwear thong, but this is a leather thong. A leather thong is simply just a length of leather used to close something. Look it up. It's not that kind of show. I'm not reviewing thongs. And I'm not going to sing that song either. You know the one. Anyway, so it's got that, which Crown typically doesn't have. So I'm going to take it out. The bottle's nice. It's a nice tall bottle. This cap is nice. Very nice presentation. Very nice presentation. So let's get the plastic off of the top here, which is always a tricky endeavor. I'm going to take my little screwdriver over here to puncture it and give myself a hand to get it out of here. There we go. I like the whiskeys that have like the little metal metallic kind of tab, the little like tin or aluminum tab that you pull on, because then you can just open it like you're opening a tin of food from like the old days or something like that, like the key. And some of you might know, some of you might not. Old corned beef tins. It is still a screw top. Smells nice. Ooh, it does smell nice. Ooh. Nice little. It is a screw top, like I said. Crown Royal does not often do corks. I think I've had one or two things from them that had a cork that was really some high-end different stuff. I think their single barrel uses a cork, maybe, but generally they use a. And it's a deep cap too. Like that's pretty. Don't want the air to get out of that, I suppose. But it does smell good, and it's very cold. It's like ice cold because it's been in my car all afternoon since I got home in the cold weather. It's like 20 degrees Fahrenheit outside. But the price on this is $52.99, so it's not cheap. It's one of the higher end Crown expressions. Probably because it's a limited edition, you're probably paying a lot for the presentation and the new bag and all that other kind of stuff. Let's pour that in. I haven't had Crown at 103 proof, so I'm interested to see how it's going to be. I have had it at, what proof was the single barrel? I don't remember for sure. I'll have to look back on my videos. I don't think it was 100 proof. It might have been, but I think it was like 90 proof. I think it was higher than most Crown, but it wasn't. I don't think it was 103. I'll say that. I don't think it was 103. Let's see that. It's got a nice color, a nice whiskey, Canadian whiskey color. Kind of fumey, a bit of fume. You can kind of see the viscosity in the drip along the outside of the glass. I don't know if you can tell that from here. Not very well with the camera, but so enough horsing around. Let's get on with it, huh? It doesn't start off great or impressive, but it finishes nice. You can taste the coffee influence. Not, again, coffee like the coffee beans that you make in the morning, but the way that they build the stills. It's a difficult rye. It's not, there's a little bit of fruitiness here at the end, like fruit snacks kind of thing, like my daughter's candy fruit snacks. Almost like a fruit cake kind of thing. If you were to use Canadian whiskey instead of rum, if people don't like fruit cakes, they might be thinking, "Oh, that's disgusting." But I like fruit cakes, except the ones that live in Washington State. I don't like them. Um, she's gonna say that she wants to sue me again. Anyway, um, there is a very alcohol-forward taste to this. I am getting a definitive yes. This is alcohol at the beginning, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, sometimes it's good to know, okay, a reminder to my body that yes, I'm drinking alcohol. Don't go overboard. Because some things that are really delicious that manage to cover up the alcohol taste really well can get you into a lot of trouble because then you don't think about how much alcohol you're taking and you might have 2 or 3 glasses and then all of a sudden you're falling over and you're having a hard time going to bed. So that's good and bad. It is messing with the taste a little bit, but now that the taste buds have kind of adjusted, let's do our second taste and see how things go. Yeah, it is. It is a bit sharp and a bit bitter. There is a definite. There's a definite like overuse of the barrel in there. It reminds me a little bit, other than not having the various flavor things that I added to it. It reminds me a little bit of the blend I made for the Spirits Club 100th episode. You remember that where I had the kit and I took the vodka and I turned it into whiskey with the wood chips and everything like that. If you haven't seen that, go back. I've got um, 3 tastings on that. I have tastings uh, with two guests. I have a tasting with Rob from This Uncanny Earth. I have a tasting with my brother-in-law, and hmm, it tastes a bit like that, but not as strong with like the the coffee beans and stuff. So I don't know. I don't actively dislike it, but I for the amount paid, Crown has other things that are better for that price. And the single barrel is $59.99, so it's just a few bucks more, and it's immeasurably better. Because I think there's too much of the barrel taste in this. It hasn't mellowed out enough. And that seems to be the problem that I've gotten with the last couple of these. The Jim Beam I had tasted a lot like barrel, and this one tastes a lot like barrel. And you sometimes get that with the higher proof stuff because it's been sitting there longer. But I don't know. At the very end, it almost reminds me a little bit of the Balcones, the Texas American whiskeys that I tried a long ways back. I really liked them. They had a heavily charred taste to them, and they gave me a bit of heartburn. They were just real strong stuff. One of them I think was like 150 proof. Another one was 138, something like that. I don't remember the exact numbers. but the aftertaste to this is tasting a little bit like that. So they may have charred the barrel a little bit. I don't know. I'm glad I got it because I'm glad I made, you know, I'm glad I made the choice to give it a sample. But I'm not sure that I would get this again because if I'm thinking of rye whiskey, I'm thinking of more flavor and less just a barrel. Like the Elijah Craig I have in there is 94 proof, and it's calling my name because I already know how that tastes. And oh, it's delicious, and it's $32, $32.99. So this was probably $54.99, not $52.99, probably $54.99. I don't know. It's not what I was expecting or what I was hoping for, but I don't hate it. It's not, and the barrel taste it's given me is not as strong and as difficult as that Jim Beam Black 7-year. Because that, I'm still trying to get through that. That's in the cupboard, just kind of waiting for me to finish up with my Southern Comfort, which is 100 proof and is $13.99 and is better than that and better than this, to be honest. But that's personal preference. Not everybody's into Southern Comfort, so I get that. That's a matter of taste. I'm a big fan, especially at that price for that proof. Big fan. So I'm going to stew on it a little bit because it almost tastes like, while it's a rye, it doesn't taste like a Canadian whiskey so much. It tastes like it's a rye trying to be a bourbon. And maybe that's where the issue is. Maybe it has some identity crisis going on. Kind of like that Lefroy from a couple episodes back where they said it was supposed to be super ridiculously smooth and really easy to drink. And it was about as peated and as hefty on the palate as everything else from Lefroy, which I enjoyed. I still have a bit left because I've been going through that kind of slow because that's a slow sipper. That's a strong, slow sipper. You don't take that all at once. But it seems to be the trend lately of me getting things that look interesting, and they have a bit of an identity crisis. But anyway, it's decent. It's in the neighborhood of, I think maybe it's $54.99, which is more than I wanted to spend on something today, especially since I bought another bottle, and I'm going to kick myself for spending all this money today. But I'm glad I tried it, because now I know I probably won't get it again, and I get a nice limited bag and things for what it's worth, The bottle doesn't have anything from the Browns on it. It's just the bottle, which is nice still. But you get this nice bag. So if you're a sports fan and you like this kind of stuff, then it might be worth a try. As for me, like I said, I probably won't get it again. But still, like I said, the presentation is nice. It's a nice presentation. It's something different. It's always nice to get something specifically for the Ohio market, and even more special if it's this specific area, since we're just a little bit south of Cleveland. It's the closest metropolitan major area past Akron. It's closer than Cincinnati. It's closer than Dayton. It's closer than Columbus. So it's nice to have. Anyway, I'm going to get through this, and I will see you folks next time. As I'm recording this, it is a couple days before the Christmas holiday, which I'm not really celebrating, but I will be in the house by myself on Christmas Eve for most of the day, and I'll be doing game streams most of that afternoon, and having some drinks and having some fun, eating some food, all kinds of good stuff. So if you're watching this and that day hasn't gotten here yet, you can hang out with me Christmas Eve, most of the day, for my unholiday 2024 party, because I don't celebrate holidays. So I celebrate not celebrating the holiday, because that makes perfect sense. Anyway, I hope everybody does. If you do celebrate the holiday, I hope you have a good one, except for that one person in Washington State. I hope their holiday is terrible, and just that one person. And everybody else, see you later. As always, cheers.